It's good to have you here with us at Somaliland National Television. I'm Mohammed Aden here with the English Bulletin. Let's take a look at the main stories making headlines. Somaliland Minister of the Interior says security will be tightened during the Independence Day celebrations. Preparations continue across Somaliland ahead of the National Independence Day. Yemen, 5-day humanitarian truce set to start on Tuesday. Preparations have been continuing across Somaliland, particularly the capital Hargeisa, where people are shopping for the forthcoming 18th May celebrations to mark the National Independence Day. SLN-TV reporters have toured around the capital city of Somaliland, Hargeisa, meeting residents who are preparing for the celebrations of the National Independence Day, which is marked on May the 18th every year. Residents stressed their delight to prepare for the Independence Day celebrations with their desire to rejoice the day that Somaliland reclaimed independence following the collapse of a military regime that had suppressed the citizens. It is not only Hargeisa where preparations are ongoing. On the contrary, similar preparations have been taking place across other cities of the country days before the Independence Day is being marked. Somaliland has been widely acknowledged throughout the world as one of the most peaceful and democratic countries in post-conflict nations in Africa. However, it's been holding this beacon for more than 2 decades, characterized by social stability and economic progress. The Somaliland Interior Minister Ali Mohammed Waran granted an exclusive interview to SLN-TV to inform citizens that security will be tightened during and before the Independence Day celebrations. Ali Mohammed Waran said that security agencies are responsible for the national security to prevent any threat against citizens that can prove disruptive, and that security will be tightened to ensure the country is safe from any potential risk of security.
sida lama huraanka ah ee xil nooga saaran yahay inaanu si weyn ugu faraadayno nabadda guud ee dalkan iyo midda gudahaba ee ummadda Soomaaliland ay ku naaloonayso mana dhici karto inaanu u ogolaano cid kasta ama cadow kasta dibad iyo gudaha ku doonaha.
As the Ministry of the Interior, it's an obligation and duty upon us to serve citizens in sustaining security, in which our citizens have been enjoying, and we won't allow our enemy, whether inside Somaliland or living abroad, to disrupt our peace. Not only us, but security is in the interest of the whole world, and it is new in Somaliland that an election could not take place in its due date. However, it's not the first time we see politicians who are threatening violence if the government's term is extended to 1 day. The Somaliland Minister of the Interior, Ali Mohammed Waran urged citizens to cooperate with the national security agencies so that any hurdle that could hinder peace could, without trouble, be forestalled collectively. ENG party officials held a press conference that had attendees of party supporters discussing the fundamental responsibility upon all citizens to preserve peace following a step taken by Wadani Party, which summoned its supporters to take to the streets in protest of efforts by the House of Elders to extend government's tenure. Faisal Ali Warabe, chairman of ENG Party, briefed the media about party intent, urging Somaliland citizens not to divulge statements made by Wadani Party to summon its supporters to protest against efforts by the House of Elders to extend government's term in power. Faisal Ali Warabe indicated that the conduct of Wadani Party is by no means acceptable and against the national constitution. Other keynote speakers and party officials spoke at the podium discussed that peace is what helped people of Somaliland make remarkable social and economic progress, unlike other societies in developing countries. Earlier, Wadani political party called for a demonstration against the extension of government's tenure because before weeks it expire. Somaliland diaspora community in Hexek province in Germany portrayed their efforts amid preparations for the Independence Day celebrations, which are due to be held on May the 18th. Amid preparations for the May 18th celebrations, a ceremony is expected to be held in Frankfurt, Germany, which Somaliland officials, famous singers and members of the Somaliland diaspora community in Germany are attending. As one of the biggest Somaliland diaspora communities across the world, the Somaliland diaspora in Germany said that similar to other diaspora communities, they will be holding ceremonies to mark the Independence Day abroad. The head of the Somaliland diaspora community in Hexak stated that the preparations continue days before celebrations for the national independence on May the 18th. You're still watching the English news on Somaliland National Television, the first Somali-speaking channel within English news, and now for the main international headlines in detail. The Swiss police say several people have been killed in a shooting in northern Switzerland, including the suspected killer. Officers responded to reports of shots fired late on Saturday night and found an unspecified number of bodies both in and outside a residential building in the town of Rerenglin. Police said all those killed were adults. Although the area where the shooting took place has mostly families living there, a police statement said all those killed were adults. The identification of bodies is underway. A neighbor told a Swiss newspaper she heard 4 shots in a row fired very quickly, followed by 2 more shots after a pause. The tabloid reported she heard no screams. The area had another serious incident 30 years ago when a real estate agent murdered his wife's lover along with 2 prostitutes. The 1985 incident happened a few hundred meters from Saturday night's shooting place. Houthi fighters in Yemen have accepted a 5-day ceasefire but warned they would respond to any violations. Saudi Arabia proposed the truce after US Secretary of State John Kerry appealed for a pause in the fighting to allow humanitarian aid into the battle-weary country. Loud explosions were heard on Sunday morning as Saudi-led forces conducted airstrikes targeting the home of former Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh, loyal to the Iran-allied Houthis. Other strikes targeted Sana'a Airport's runway, a Yemeni official there said, and Houthi targets in Sada district of Ib in central Yemen, residents there said. Meanwhile, the United Nations humanitarian coordinator for Yemen said Saudi-led airstrikes on Sada city, where many civilians are trapped, are in breach of the international humanitarian law. The indiscriminate bombing of populated areas with or without prior warning is in contravention of international humanitarian law, Jones van der Kloor said in a statement. Issuing warnings of impending attacks does not absolve the parties of the IHL obligations to protect civilians from harm. The humanitarian ceasefire is due to come into force at 11 p.m. on Tuesday. That's it for this edition of the English News. Thank you for catching us. Join us at the same time tomorrow. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.